Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here to break down the two-game NBA slate on Thursday. Crazy slate yesterday. I was on my computer for like 14 hours straight leading up to lock for props and DFS. I was absolutely exhausted, so yeah, I definitely couldn't make a video last night. But hopefully, you guys had a good night. Recap for myself. It was a good night. Finally avoided an injury for the first time in 84 years. But this is the lineup that I went with. VJ Edgecombe kind of talked about it. I thought like 40 plus minutes honestly was in the range of outcomes. And sure enough, he played 42 minutes. And you can pick up on edges from just grinding preseason, right? Rotation changes that maybe people are not familiar with. Like, for example, guys like Middleton and Drew Holiday, right? They were under projected across the industry. But looking at the preseason rotation, I was pretty confident Middleton was going to see around that 30-minute mark in a competitive game. Saw 29 minutes before the blowout there at the end. And then Drew Holiday talked about how he just has a completely different role, right? So those two were unowned. Ate the chalk of Giannis, and then you guys knew how high I was in Wembayama. Talked about it all day. How I just thought he was going way under owned. He was projected for like 7%, ended up coming a little bit more than that. I think maybe I had a slight influence for that, just for how much I was beating the Wemby drum. But yeah, he absolutely broke the slate. Peter Washington, there was no way I was fading him. And then a couple things to tilt about. Luke Cornett, three quick ones to start. The three quick ones in 3 minutes and loses out massive minutes. They were overlapping him and Wemby, but unfortunately just ran a massive foul trouble for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And then Najee Marshall, man. I mean, come on, dude. Just give me an average score and I have a huge night. The thing is, I had Trey Mann here, and I liked the upside more in Trey Mann as a contrarian value. So I talked about this in the stream leading up to lock for all premium members, how I did not want to play chalk Jalen Tyson in tournaments. I thought he was way overowned at 60%. Didn't like that. I thought Kalkbrenner was a little bit overowned, but a little bit more reasonable. But again, I took the shot there in low on Cornette. But Najee Marshall, so I had Trey Mann as a contrarian value. The reason why I pivoted off was report, and I still was pretty sure Jaylen Brown was going to play, but I was like, okay, the slight chance that Jaylen Brown gets ruled out, I have to have flexibility. I don't want someone locked in the early game because if Brown got ruled out, I definitely was playing at least one of Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. So I was like, okay, I'll just give myself flexibility. I'll pivot to Najee Marshall at a similar price point just in case. And of course, I ended up burning me. Trey Mann went for like 25, 26, and Najee Marshall, 5 fantasy points, man. 5. Really? But yeah, so that was the recap there. Also, if you guys are looking for more content, you check out my premium over on Tails. Doing a lot of DFS. We're really hammer home game theory, do streams every single day before lock, answering questions, going over ownership, all that good stuff. And then also props, sportsbook, pick'em, all that good stuff. So if you guys are interested, link down below. You can use the code MBA40 for 40% off. I'm running that discount until tomorrow, and that'll be the last discount I run for the NBA season. Also, guys, make sure to check out EPICK. Again, having a ton of fun over here on EPICK. A lot of different ways you can play, right? We talked about this in the last video. You got the pick'em, which is just standard, or you can act as a sports book. Go in, check which of these slips you think are minus EV and fade them. And that's honestly what I've been doing, going and fading them. You got tournament mode, you got 50-50 mode. A lot of different ways you can grind and make a solid profit here. So definitely recommend EPICK. Use the code DK for 100% match up to $50. If you do use that code and deposit, it does help support the channel. So would appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about this 2-game slate. We can go a little bit more in depth here with the rotation since it's only 2 games. So for Oklahoma City, you got still no J-Dub, Alex Caruso out, still no Isaiah Joe as well. And then you got Casey Wallace and Dort on the injury report. Now, I kind of lean that both these guys will play. I was doing a little bit of digging on Twitter. I couldn't really find anything definitive, but kind of looking at the prop market is saying that these guys will play. So that's my thoughts right now. If they do end up getting ruled out, if one or both ended up getting ruled out, then Aaron Wiggins is going to play a lot more. AJ Mitchell is going to play a lot more, and it would have to overlap with SGA. Then you would probably see Barnhizer. You definitely would see Barnhizer in the rotation. You would probably see one of Jang or Youngblood in the rotation. So we'll keep an eye on that. But again, right now my expectation is that both those guys will play. was a crazy Oklahoma City game one, right? That game going to double overtime. That really did tilt me. I faded SGA, and of course he just absolutely smashes in both overtimes. So because he was doing nothing before that, so that was a little bit annoying there. But yeah, looking at the salaries, SGA 10.5K, right? No J Dub on the court, usage bump and assist percentage bump. In a competitive game, you're going to see most likely mid 30s minutes from SGA. So yeah, he looks good at the top. I don't think I'm going to spend a ton of time there on SGA. Chet had a really solid game. Again, he gets a bit of a usage bump here without Jalen Williams, a reasonable price point. Isaiah Hartenstein got in some foul trouble, lost out in a little bit of run. But he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I think, in a competitive game, you're seeing high 20s, maybe even up to that 30-minute mark. So he stands out as a pretty good point per dollar play here. And then the value options, so a good amount to like here for Oklahoma City. I think a lot of these guys are just underpriced. Casey Wallace, 4.5K, Dort at 4.3, Aaron Wiggins at 4.2. I like them all a good amount. Casey Wallace last game here, I'll bring up the box score. Obviously, again, we did see double overtime, right? But still, he was out there a ton. So you saw Wallace 42 minutes starting, 45 minutes for Dort, right? Cruz still played 30 minutes. Those minutes have to go somewhere. Wiggins 21, Mitchell 15, 13 minutes for Jalen Williams, the big, and then 2 for Barnhizer. So yeah, these 3 value plays I think are all really good options here. Wallace, Dort, and Wiggins. Wallace and Dort are going to play more, assuming they play. Wiggins, not as much, but he'll be more productive as far as point per minute. So I like all 3. Yeah, Dort, again, he's going to have open looks. It just comes down to whether or not he can make his shots. But yeah, I think all 3 are pretty solid values here. And then AJ Mitchell. Talked about it in the video, how I thought he was going to have a bigger role than people thought. He came out and smashed off the bench. Again, this guy is legit, and I think he can play a little bit more alongside SGA tonight just because of no Caruso. And they're relatively thin. So I also like AJ Mitchell at 3.8K for value. So yeah, good amount to like here for the Thunder value. Jalen Williams, the big, I think is reasonable, 3.2K. I don't expect huge minutes unless you get some foul trouble, but good point per minute, is viable. And then Barnhizer, I think, will be in the rotation. Right now, it's a dart throw. He becomes a little bit more viable, I think, if one of Dort or Casey Wallace get rolled out. Okay, so Indiana. Pacers, you got no Halliburton, no McConnell, no Jones, no Jackson. They don't have really another point guard outside of Andrew Nembhard right now. So just wanted to mention that. He's really the only true ball handler right now on this team. And now the Pacers, again, historically run a pretty deep rotation. So I think we're probably going to see 10 guys in the rotation here. For Indiana, starters should be Siakam, Nembhard, Mather, Naismith, and Isaiah Jackson. Off the bench, you're going to see Obi Toppin. Jay Huff will play the backup 5. You're going to see Ben Shepherd. You're going to see Furphy. And I think you're going to see Jarris Walker. So I think that's going to be the 10 guys. Could you see, a little bit of, one of these other, kind of scrub point guards get a little bit of run? It's possible. It's in the range of outcomes. Again, Carlisle does historically run a pretty deep rotation. So looking at salaries here, Siakam at 8.2K, kind of just indifferent on him. Obviously, he's going to have a bigger role here without Halliburton. I like the upside on him. I'm pretty high in Nembhard. Right now, I'm not projecting for a ton of ownership. Looking at ownership projections across the industry, but he is going to have a different role this year. Again, with Halliburton off the court, he is just a different player. He's way more aggressive offensively. He has the ball in his hands a lot more. Primary playmaker. You got McConnell too. So, yeah, I'm pretty high in Nembhard. Again, right now, I'm not projecting for a ton of ownership. And then Matherin's also going to have a lot more usage. This guy has a pretty high ceiling. He's going to be chucking when he's out there. So, like the upside on Matherin there a good amount. Aaron Naismith at 5.6K, I think is reasonable. I like the ceiling more with Matherin at a similar price point, but Naismith still a guy that is going to have some open looks for sure. The center rotation side, Isaiah Jackson, 5.5K, I think is playable. Would have wished he was a little bit cheaper. You got Jay Huff down here at 3.4K. I think factoring in salary, I'd rather get to Jay Huff. Is there a chance that, maybe we see a little bit of James Wiseman? It's possible they could run a 3 center rotation. I don't think it's super likely, but it is possible. But yeah, I think Jay Huff's a pretty good value play here at 3.4K. Just because, I don't see Isaiah Jackson playing massive minutes. I also think you could see a little bit of small ball here from the Pacers with Siakam / Obi Toppin at the 5. The rest of this team, Ben Shepherd, 3.2K, not a good point per minute player, but will be in the rotation here, shooting guard, small forward eligible. Johnny Furphy, I think, is going to be firmly in this rotation. I kind of like him as a contrarian play right now. Again, I don't think you can project him for huge minutes, but you want to take a shot in Johnny Furphy in large field tournaments. I think that is viable. All right, Denver, Golden State. So Denver is the only other team that we haven't seen yet. Starters, we're going to see pretty obviously Jokic, Murray, Cam Johnson, Gordon, and then Christian Brown. Off the bench, you're going to see Jonas Valanciunas. You're going to see Tim Hardaway Jr., you're going to see Bruce Brown, and you're going to see Peyton Watson. That's 9. If there is going to be a 10th guy in the rotation, I think it's going to be Julian Strawther. So 9 to 10 guys here for Denver, depending on what they do there with Julian Strawther. But yeah, 11.5K for Jokic. I don't think we had to spend a ton of time here. It's a 2-game slate. There's not a lot of spend ups. Yeah, he looks amazing. Jamal Murray at 7K. I think is a reasonable option here. A clear number 2 option. Should play mid-30s minutes in a competitive game. So the 2 Denver spend-ups look good. Jokic going to get a little bit more ownership, but obviously like the upside there in Jamal Murray. Cam Johnson, again, first game with the team here, I think is a pretty solid option. Him and Aaron Gordon kind of as the wings. Yeah, they're both reasonable plays. I'm not going to go like out of my way to jam them, but they're fine. And then Christian Brown, kind of the same thing, 5.3K. So any of those other starters for Denver, I'm good with. In Johnson and Gordon and in Brown. None of them like stand out to me as like amazing plays, but they're fine filler guys to get in. Jonas Valanciunas at 4.6K. Really good point per minute player. He could play a little bit alongside Jokic. I know they've been testing that out a little bit. They did a little bit in the preseason. So he's playable for sure. Like if you get something weird where, he plays a lot more alongside Jokic than people think, or you get Jokic foul trouble, like JV could smash. But this is not really, I don't think, the best spot to run it against Golden State. But yeah, I do still have some interest in JV. Tim Hardaway Jr. I think is pretty hard to get to, 4.1K. He's going to be in the rotation, but I don't know if he sees enough minutes. Like he's going to have to get really hot shooting for him to get there. So really just a dart throw. Bruce Brown, I think we'll kind of play the backup point guard position. He's 4K. I think he's an interesting value play. Peyton Watson, 3.9K. I think he's definitely going to firmly be in this rotation. Had a nice preseason. I think he could take a leap forward this year, so a little bit intrigued by him. And then, yeah, Julian Strawther. I don't think I would get to him. It's not a guarantee that he plays, but if they do run a 10th guy, I think it would be Strawther there. All right, so finally, Golden State. In typical Golden State fashion, and I hinted at this, they ran a huge rotation. Well, it was 11 guys, right? Well, let me bring up Golden State box score. But yeah, this is just typical Steve Kerr. He said the starting lineup's going to vary, so Kuminga started last game. Doesn't mean he's going to start again, but yeah, starters last game, right? Jimmy Butler, Draymond, Kuminga, Curry, Podziemski. Then you saw, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys play off the bench, 11 guys. Only a couple minutes for Santos. 20 minutes for Horford, 9 minutes for Post, 22 for Hield, 12 for Gary Payton, and then 14 for Will Richard, who they're pretty high on. I'm looking at the salaries here for the top end guys for Golden State. I think Steph is a solid contrarian play right now, not getting as much ownership as guys like Jokic and SGA, but clearly Steph has a massive ceiling. I think Jimmy Butler's the east to get to of these kind of Golden State spend ups, 7.4K. I like the minutes for Jimmy Butler, right? He played 35 minutes. That was definitely more than I was expecting, and he's, I think, underpriced here. So I like Jimmy Butler a good amount. Draymond also played a little bit more than I thought. He played 28 minutes. There were comments from Kerr that, possibly hinting at limiting Draymond early on, but 28 minutes is solid for a guy at his price point. Podziemski, I think, is a little bit overpriced, but not completely out of play, obviously, as a starter. And then Kuminga, I have some interest in for sure. If he starts, I feel way better about him if he starts. If he comes off the bench, I'm not as confident in his minutes, but potential assists were solid on Kuminga. Played 33 minutes. We know Kuminga is a good point per minute player. So if he starts again, I definitely like him. Buddy Hield had a good game off the bench. But again, a little bit pricey, not completely out of play, but he's going to have to really get hot from 3-point land to get there. Al Horford at 4.7K, getting like no ownership. He played 20 minutes. The comment from Kerr, though, was now 20 to 24 minutes limit. Also, this is the front end of a back-to-back. Horford's going to sit. So maybe there's a chance he plays a little bit more. Like maybe he gets up to that 24-minute mark. So I'm not going to completely rule out Horford at 4.7K. The rest of this team, Gary Payton played less than I thought, 3.6K, but he is still viable because of the salary and because of the eligibility. Will Richard, not completely out of play, but again, Oklahoma City value I feel a little bit better about. But Will Richard, like they're high on this guy. He's definitely going to be in the rotation. Quentin Post at 3.1K. Didn't get a ton of run, but maybe against Jokic, he gets a little bit more run here. It's possible. But I definitely feel better about the minutes for like Jay Huff at a similar price point. So I think I feel better there. And then, yeah, Santos played a couple minutes. Is there a chance you could see like Jackson Davis get a shift? It's possible. You never know, Steve Kerr. But yeah, that's about it for the breakdown, guys. So if you guys have been enjoying, again, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Really do appreciate all the support as always. And we'll see you all in the next video.